Good morning, everybody. John Fiocla here with GAI Insights, bringing you the Gen AI news briefing, giving you the top news, essential, important, or optional, putting thoughts in your head and time in your day. We have Vivek Mukhyar from Pfizer, Ankaj, Adam, Luda, and myself. Lots going on today, especially around self-improving models. Seems to be all the rage as we lose agency to the silicon overlords. All right. Ankaj, if we could have the first article, please.
Sure, thanks, John. So the first one that we have for today comes from Google, and they have rolled out Gemini DeepThink AI. It's a reasoning model that tests multiple ideas in parallel.
Yeah, Vivek, I know you worry about this, day in and day out, in your role in Pfizer. I don't know if you guys are a Google shop. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, no, I think I've been a big Google user for the last 8 or 9 months, and I've seen them do incredible things, right? So what this announcement is around is Google DeepMind has developed a new model called Gemini 2.5 DeepThink. It's a new multi-agent reasoning model that explores kind of multiple different paths, multiple ideas in parallel to arrive to the best answers. And what this yields is it does have much better reasoning capabilities that allows it to do some phenomenal things and kind of take the pole position, especially when it comes to kind of benchmarks such as the humanities last exam, where it now has 34.8. I think the prediction at the beginning of the year is that by the end of the year we will get to 50% on the humanities last exam. Again, this is without tool calling, which some of the other model providers with kind of additional grok heavy with tool calling can exceed that 50% mark, but this is just bare bone model. So this is, again, I think we're starting to see a shift away from singular reasoning paths to more collaborative, using higher computes. And it is going to starting to unlock new use cases. It's limited to the ultra users right now, so you need a very expensive plan. So there is some discussions around equity and around these models. But I think this news is essential given similar, I think we're at a similar inflection point when deep research came out and the ability to think longer and test and compute. I think now we're kind of taking that and scaling it even further. So I feel that this is an important news. It's going to kind of unlock numerous new use cases and abstract away even longer knowledge tasks. So that's
All
my
right.
reasoning.
So going for essential here, and also Google, I think, with some others trying to establish this new price point, somewhere between 2 and 3 grand a year, something like that for the ultra users. We'll see what happens there. What do you think, Adam? Where do you come down on this guy? Essential?
I was more important. It might not necessarily be relevant to everyone. I think, as Vivek alluded to there, what is essential is understanding this concept of the deep think and of the multi-agent models, which Grok 4 Heavy does as well. That if there were an article more sort of broadly about that, I'd maybe say that's an essential read. But maybe with our brilliant commentary and this piece specifically, which does at least talk about Grok 4 Heavy as well, I could be talked up to essential, but I was probably thinking it's important. Meaning they should at least be aware of the news. It would probably be essential also if they were like, oh yeah, by the way, it's available right now to everyone for free. But these things are very expensive to run, and they're only available at very high cost tiers. So for most people and for enterprise, this isn't really something that's relevant at the moment. So I was probably leaning towards important.
All right, Luda, where are you on this?
I was with Adam. Yes, I agree with Vivek. This is news about how it's done, but it's not available, and it's just a product announcement, and we know that it's way more compute. So, and this is maybe why they're putting it under the high price subscriptions. So to figure out how to maybe reduce the compute. So I thought it was important rather than essential.
All right. Well, it will be available this Friday if you have the, $250 a month. So
Right. But it's a high subscription.
yeah, yep, for sure. Ankash, where are you on this?
Important, John, for the same reasons that Adam and Luda mentioned. While it's an important news, but not available to everyone, so everyone can't experiment with it right now.
All right, Vivek, I'm in a democratic mood. Sorry, I'm going for important.
Let me make one case. I think it's for an AI leader, given if we look back, right, when deep research was released and the explosion of tokens since then, and deep research has not even started being used that ubiquitously in organizations, just for AI leader to plan for this type of innovation. that now it's Google, right? It's majority. It's the
Yeah.
yeah. So that's the only other piece. But I will yield to the democratic vote. Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting on this thing about, is it expensive or not? Well, we're doing some analysis for one of our clients and looking at, if you take somebody, like a fully loaded cost of somebody in the call center in the United States probably starts at about $75,000. So, and, at, $250 a month, we're talking about $3,000, right, for the year. And, that's compared to 75, that's a small number. So it's going to get really interesting in terms of just the pure automation. The other thing is, anybody who's watching, please remember you can always find our articles at gainsights.com/articles. And toward the end, also, I'm going to talk about kind of some great new stuff we have happening in our event coming into September in Boston, September 29th, 30, GAI World. All right, next, important on this one, Akash.
Okay, the next one comes from Anthropic, and it's an interesting research around persona vectors, monitoring and controlling character traits in language models.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever read the book Brave New World or saw the movie, but there's this great scene where by Aldous Huxley where the kids are basically getting new knowledge by intravenous packets. So like somebody's history is going into their vein or mathematics, and anyway, and there's this kind of cutesy scene where the protagonist says, "Oh, when I was a kid, math was this big, and now it's only this big." In terms of the size of the thing. But I was kind of reminded of that when this notion of dropping persona vectors in and out of models in terms of changing their behavior, I thought was kind of reminding me of that. What do you think, Adam?
Yeah, this is really fascinating. And we have seen a consistent trend out of research with Anthropic, just being really for the greater good in a lot of ways. And this is another example of that thought leadership. So the idea of these persona vectors is that they can actually look into the model and witness when it's behaving in a certain manner, like a personality trait such as evil. It will light up a certain path, which they refer to as the persona vector. So it's sort of like they can recognize the weights of a behavior within the model. And no one's, I guess, ever thought to look, and this is also new, that the reality is they are really leading the charge in terms of understanding what's happening under the hood with these things. So you can monitor when a model's personality is changing, which is one of the risks with alignment these days. And so it's really important, this research. It's essential that we understand this sort of thing for the benefit of all. This news is probably important, even though it's research, because it's really important for people to understand in some ways how little we do know, and some of the great work that's being done to deepen our understanding of how these things behave and what we can do to ensure that they behave in certain ways.
Yeah, it's fun. It strikes me, it's funny. The B-1 bomber cost $2.1 billion. The U.S. defense budget's about $1 trillion when you include the Department of Energy. We can't even find money to go fund this stuff in terms of what these. And everybody's sitting around saying these things may take over and kill us, and the government isn't investing anything in safety and model understanding. I mean, Meta's not going to do it. Google's not going to do it. So it's pretty sad. Yeah, Anthropic's full funding is under $15 billion, and this is like a side project with volunteers. I don't know. I wish we would get not so much regulation, just understanding, like what the heck do these things do, and can we control them, and how can we control them? Forget AGI. I want to know, can we control them?
Yep.
I mean, that's all I care about.
Especially agentic. John, right? Because agentic becomes unwieldy, right? We don't know where agents go, right? So it's right. I agree with you.
We have these profound findings, like you can insert personality vectors and it's got subliminal memory that shows up for the data it's taught with, in new models. It's like, what the heck? What do you think here, Luda? Where are you on this?
Yeah, I was with Adam. From the angle of society, it's essential. From the enterprise leader, it's important. It's not essential. But if you're training your own models, this might be very, very useful to understand how to put personality traits and into the model, especially if it's in the customer service domain or what have you. So the Anthropic published a paper, and that lays out the whole framework of how you do this.
Yeah.
So this is an important news of for sure.
All right, important, Ankash?
Important, John.
Vivek, what do you think? I'm thinking essential here. I'm feeling.
No, yeah. So I was between important and essential for a couple of reasons, right? So I think they highlight that they can actually do this at inference time, so that you can actually start implementing this pretty quickly. It's just a prompt chain that can remove certain persona vectors, or you could do the preventive steering that Luda was alluding to in terms of model development. But I think from developing content and in healthcare content, we care about personalized, brand aligned. This is another avenue for using persona vectors to make sure that we're constraining the LLM deployment. So I found that to be fascinating, and that's something I would want to test out very soon.
So essential, important, optional?
I was important and essential, so I can go to essential for sure.
And yeah, you have a vote from Calvin for essential, and I asked him why. He can't speak.
We're getting what? For Calvin, yes, we're going to go Republic today, not democracy. We're going to go essential in this one. All right.
Okay.
Okay, the next one that we have for today is from OpenAI, and it's about how OpenAI is using Codex.
Yeah, we've got the OpenAI version of what I did on my summer vacation. What do you think here, Luna?
Yeah, so Codex is still not out there fully, as I understand it. So it's in preview, open to certain developers and people who opted in. But I think this is a great primer in general of how do you use coding tools. And it goes through pretty comprehensively across various cases, like the code understanding, the migrations, the performance optimization, even completing or coverage of test suites. That sometimes is very difficult to do. Increasing development speed. So it's a number of cases here. And for each, they offer a brief summary, the feedback from the developers, anecdotal evidence, and then if you scroll down a little bit, Ankash, a couple of prompts that can get you on the way. So it is really a good summary of what you could do, and I think it's important.
All right, got a vote for important here. Adam, where are you?
Yeah, I think I could go important as well. And to clarify, we had this fairly early on in our team subscription. Codex was available, and now it's available to everyone who's on a paid subscription, even the $20 a month. So it's actually pretty broadly available. I use it in parallel with Replit on the same GitHub code base. It's a phenomenal tool. I mean, for me, this is an essential read. There's so many great tips in here on how to work with Codex. And how to work with Codex in sort of a multi-agent system around your code base. But not everyone, of course, is using it, so it won't apply in all of enterprise, but I'd probably say it's still important.
All right, Vivek, where are you?
Yeah, for all the reasons Luda and Adam already mentioned, I'll only add that this is kind of where we're going towards. A collaborative AI agent is going to be part of software development workflows. I think it's a given that you have to start doing this if you're a shop, just to accelerate development. So,
you know, John, I might be with Adam on essential, because this doesn't really require deep coding expertise, and it can help you with prompts, and it can translate the code back to you to tell you what it's doing. So it can be used by coders and non-coders alike. So I would go essential on this as well.
Yeah, Lucinda notes a really interesting thing about opening up your software to OpenAI here. So what do you say, Vivek? You're going to stand against this rampant grade inflation that's happening here?
No. I think it's anything that increases velocity and improves function, that we get to drug I'm thinking about like drug development. We can get things go faster.
Yeah.
I'm not supportive of that. Essential. So.
All right, essential. Akash, what are you?
Essential for me as well, John, for slightly different reason. So I have been using some of these coding agents, right? And it seems like they are a precursor to multi-agent systems. So the way you can engage with these coding agents, right, you get a flavor of how the multi-agent system will work going forward. I think every leader in enterprise should experiment with some of these coding agents to understand what the future looks like. So essential from that perspective.
It's a great point, Ankash. Great point.
All right, we're going essential on this bad boy. It's interesting. I think Lucinda's point about having your repository open up to OpenAI is really interesting. I mean, because I think when you think about a guy who had the office next to mine for many years, a guy named Ben Kaczynski. He's a retired MIS professor now at Emory, and he used to talk about software as ossified policy, which I think is an interesting idea. I mean, you really know if you know the software repository of a company, you know a lot, and at a very deep level, not just from a security perspective, from all kinds. And I think we're going to start to. I wouldn't be surprised if we have an offering within 12 months where somebody comes in and looks at your entire software repository and looks at the implicit culture and policies and operating system of your organization based on, inductively looking at what's been codified in the code. So anyway, interesting. All right, next, Pankaj.
Okay, the next one comes from Black Forest Labs, and they have introduced Flux.1 Kriya, which is an opinionated text to image model.
Yes, the great irony of having an AI named company who's busy burning carbon named after the forest in Germany that's getting crushed by carbon. Anyway, there we have it. Adam, what do you think?
This is another nice sort of step forward, but it's probably optional news overall. So Black Forest Labs has partnered with Korea.ai to develop an open weight model, and that's great. And you can go to Korea now and use it. And the idea is that the opinion it has is that it creates more of an aesthetic voice with the images. So it's not trying to always create that same, as they call it, AI look. And so sometimes it says it may even create sort of surprising results because it'll make choices about sort of aesthetically or artistically how it's going to create the image. It also apparently has exceptional photorealism. So it looks like it's a pretty good model, but at the same time, it's sort of an incremental step forward in a crowded space. So, that's probably an optional piece of news then.
All right, we're headed optional on this one. What do you think of it?
Yeah, no, I just like the idea that they're now collaborating and getting two different expertise to kind of guide model development. I'm a big user of the context model. I actually built an app that allows to put new pictures into your existing pictures. And I think they're doing some Black Forest Labs. It's a US-based open source developer, which I think is fascinating that they are kind of leading in this space. But overall, I agree with Adam. This is everyday news these days, everyday miracle as we call it here. So.
Yeah. All right. Akash, what do you think?
Optional, John. So in words of Paul, another everyday miracle.
All right. Ludo, we're headed for optional. What do you think?
Yeah.
Optional. Okay, next, Akash.
Okay, the next one is again a research paper, which is a survey of self-evolving agents, which is deemed to be path to artificial superintelligence.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big believer in the artificial superintelligence thing. To me, I don't know why we even care about our machines already think. I think the real issue is, can we control them and are they alive? But anyway, that's not what this is about. What do you think of this survey paper here with I thought a pretty good model, but what do you think, Vivek?
Yeah, I gave this as essential, given it was such a fun read in terms of, even though I used AI a lot to read the article, it's just a comprehensive survey of the taxonomy around self-evolving systems. We've covered a couple of them, Alpha Evolve or Godot models, but this does a phenomenal job in talking about all of the different activities that are going on around self-evolution of these models, and as again breaking down into a lot of different sections on how to evolve or where to evolve, and all the different strategies that are ongoing. I think it's not immediately deployable at scale, but it kind of gives us a glimpse into the direction we are heading with all of these models. And self-evolution is the kind of the next step, right? So there's a great roadmap of where we are going towards, and I consider this important to essential. I'll lean towards more essential.
I thought it was very thoughtful in terms of the different ways of evaluation, so how it evolves over time, right? And but what do you think, Yolita?
I was important. I think it's a compendium that a number of folks collaborated. Princeton University, University of Hong Kong, California, Santa Barbara. It's really across the board, and they've done a really good job on compiling what has happened in self-evolving systems and what to evolve, when to evolve, and how to evolve categories. We put it in if you scroll down, Ankash, to the taxonomy, like the three categories, this is really comprehensive. So for the leaders, it's a deep read, even further. So it's a deep read, and it takes it into mathematical formulas to explain what they mean. I feel that this is important to understand.
All right, we got an important here. What do you think, Vivek? I mean, sorry, not Vivek. Akash.
Important for me as well, John, for all the reasons Vivek and Luda mentioned.
Adam.
Yeah, I was important, and I'm on the fence with essential now, actually, after listening to Vivek speak to it. And this is it really is the future, and they have done a phenomenal job of consolidating. I mean, this is a bit of a Bible in many ways of what's coming. So on the fence, I was important, but possibly more.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much when we think about. I was definitely important, not essential in this one, but there's so much talk about agentic stuff, and this is for me the best paper I've seen that lays out, I mean, a head and shoulders above the rest, and beautifully done. Kind of, what are they? How do you do it? When do you do it? It's much more comprehensive. It's one of the few that even entertains the idea of what are we optimizing for, you know what I mean, and different frames for that, which I think is the most essential question, which is what are we aiming at, and how are we aiming at it, because those are kind of intertwined, you know what I mean. All right, there's a heavy lift for most execs here, but we're going to give this baby essential. Here we go.
John, Ankash, can you scroll to page 6? It's from the top of page 6.
That one, yeah.
Yeah, so that's one. See, they created this tree, right?
Yep.
And it's just for that tree. I think it's might be essential. So essentially laid out all of the references and all of the papers they've cited here into this graph, right, into this tree. And that's amazing. So their contribution is to put all these methods right together that have been tried in like self-evolving agents, like where to evolve and how to evolve. I think that's amazing. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, Luda, that and the chart at the top of the next page, right, that we were looking at before.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Which has pretty much the summary of the whole thing in such a great little infographic. That's really powerful.
Absolutely. All right, essential it is. Next and last.
Okay, the next one that we have comes from VentureBeat, and it talks about how Deep Cogito has gone big, releasing 4 new open source hybrid reasoning models with self-improving intuition.
Yeah, I'm going to launch an AI company with shallow agents. Anyway, just for something different. Ankash, you're on this one.
Sure, John. So, John, this is about a startup called Deep Cogito, which is based out of Silicon Valley and founded by ex-Googlers. So, they have released their V2 family of models, which range from 70 billion parameters to 671 billion parameters. So, the interesting thing that they have done is, so they have developed these reasoning models, and they are distilling the reasoning into the weights of the models. So, basically, they are internalizing their own reasoning. They have released some benchmarks, which are their internal benchmarks for now, but seem to provide good performance. And they are saying that they have only consumed a few $1 million to develop the reasoning model. So I was important on this.
All right, we got an important. Adam, where are you?
Yeah, I was probably between optional and important. Probably important because it's actually being released, and these are some pretty powerful models. But I think more so, as Ankaj was alluding to, this concept of the hybrid reasoning model and their approach is something that people need to understand about, because it's another pretty big step forward.
All right, Vivek.
Yeah, I was the same. I think I found it fascinating as well. This machine intuition and building that and programmatically, and this algorithmic innovation that is occurring with these folks. But overall, I think the question really I had, like, how does it, because it's using model heuristics, so trying to kind of shorten the path always and using this trained intuition. And then we know from, at least I'm anthropomorphizing this a little bit, but will that impact the edge cases? And I want to know their performance on those. So I have some questions for these guys, but otherwise it's a fascinating way to kind of reduce compute, which is what, again, I would think about Apple potentially buying them. So
Yeah, maybe. Lila, where are you on this?
Yeah, I think this is a step up, right? So they claim that through self-evolving paradigm that they're utilizing, they're reducing compute. So that's exactly what we were talking about before, right? So this is important, and it's in the product, right? We don't know how the product performs, but they claim it performs very well. So if that's the case, so it's a product announcement, certainly not essential, but it is a step up in how these models will perform later on, right? So they're showing the path that with self-evolution, you could reduce the compute. And that's important. So I was important, not essential. And yeah, because of its product announcement, like Vivek needs to understand, I also have questions. So it's like, how would it perform? We don't know, but it is a step up. So important for me.
All right, important it is. I landed there as well. Not optional, but barely into important. Okay, that's it for that total. Akash, if you could go ahead and get those together. And then meanwhile, we've got our learning lab tonight. We're going to be looking at our new buyer's guide, and Akash is going to be taking us through that. And some for those who aren't familiar with it, this is a $4,000 a year research report. We've you get quarterly updates. This is the most recent quarterly update. You get adoption trends, you get vendor trends, and then some management issues, and then some predictions that we're going to make for the next 6 to 12 months. So those four things, we'll give you an overview of what those look like tonight. Akash, anything to add on it? I know you've been working very hard with Paul on it.
Based on, I think we missed on the vendor evaluation, right? So we have evaluated almost 30 plus vendors
Yes.
on two by two matrices. So there's foundation model 2x2, and then there's a LLM ops evaluation of these vendors. So I think a lot of effort has gone into that, and we have some initial feedback from some of the vendors, and they are liking their positioning in the report, and also a feedback for them. So some great start to the report as well.
Great, awesome. Any other announcements or anything? All right, let's put the tote board up there, Akash, if you have it.
Yes, yeah.
All right. Here we are. 3 essentials today. Oh my God. Here we go. Important, optional, and important for the others. It's not great inflation. It's just a busy day. Okay. We'll see you all tomorrow morning. Have a great AI day. Hope to see you at 7 East Coast U.S. time at the Learning Lab tonight. Open to everyone. Bring your team if you want, and so forth. Bye-bye now.
Thanks, Vivek, for